Welcome, crypto snipers. Thank you. Welcome indeed. Back to us, yours truly, giving you a little bow. Thank you for your puppy licks. That's the thumb up button. It licks our face like a puppy in the morning. Thank you for your shares as well. We really appreciate that. So, we're going to talk about Ethereum and its spell of dominance that will re-emerge, but we'll cover that in a second. We haven't spoken a great deal about crypto. We've been keeping quiet. Ooh, what have we been doing in our premium community? We've been keeping quiet. In actual fact, there's been fascinating things happening in markets in every sphere. Forex has broken out. Equities are broken out. We've got incredible equity runners. And there's amazing things happening. And on that very point, I highlight this Friday, we will be having live trading day. That's right, live trading day. Hour and a half, non-stop, traditional markets with me, half an hour, little wee-wee and big pee break. And then you come back with crypto. And we'll be going into even deeper depths. So I'm going to keep it fairly narrow on the crypto. I'm going to give you a quick heads up, bit of a reminder of a few things, a fairly short stream. So a little bit punchier maybe than usual and limited. I'm going to check the number of retweets and we'll give you a couple of special requests depending on the number of retweets that we got as a result of your kindness in sharing. And then we're going to shimmy on and you'll get the rest. You will get the rest on live trading day if you come and join us. And there is a link below. You can buy one session and you can get 3 for the price of 2. 3 for the price of 2. Indeed, indeed. So what's been going on? Well, Bitcoin has been pretty relaxed. It's kind of been had its little channel pullback. We'll cover the charts there. During this period, Ethereum is bleeding up and has gone through new all-time highs, but slowly walkouts. It's not parabolic. Gee, I'll get there in the end. It's not parabolic. So we're going to remind you of a couple of things. So I'm going to take you to the screen and show you a diagram chart. Somebody else's. Full credit to him. I can't even give you his name. I don't know who. I think it was something I saw on Twitter and I said, he's caught that better than me. So it's just not my own drawing, but he's done it really nice. So full credit to somebody else. This is the cycle. And the key point is cycles are extending. I mentioned this actually today in a webinar and I decided to mention it again to you guys. I'm not sure I've shown you this chart. Maybe I have. Maybe you need reminding. Maybe you've not seen it at all. But cycles are extending. What are we looking at here? These are the all-time lows of each major cycle bull markets over here. So let's go, we'll go with the blue, little boy Pippi blue. These lows are all centered on that apex there. You can see the orange solid line is actually Bitcoin from the 20K, that would be there, into the $3,200 low, and the subsequent orange line up to here, which hasn't been updated. You can see roughly when I grabbed this chart, it was around about mid-year. I'll update it with a little fake draw. In fact, let's do that now. So Bitcoin's this year so far. You may recall the head and shoulders. Yes, we called that head and shoulders for you, and it broke down. We'll remind you of that as ever. We'll never let you forget. 29,000. And since then, we've walked back out and we've gone higher than that. And we went to the 64 and we're around 63. So that's the trajectory there. I'll just remove the other lines there so that you can see that's kind of where we're going so far. These are the different bull to bear cycles of Bitcoin. And the reason we're showing you this is to highlight 1 or 2 key points that I continue to assert will happen that most people don't think, because it's all about the halvening in their minds. It's all about the halvenings. And I'm saying, no, actually, sometimes that's a detail. It's an important detail. It's not the only detail. And in fact, we're going up less fast each time and we're taking longer to do it. And that's what's called a maturing market. However, it's still one of the most exciting, some of the most volatile markets you've ever seen. So first cycle, if we go in red to match the color, you actually had an exhaustive sell-off low there and you had a high up top there. That is super steep, super steep. I think you get that, and it was over kind of quick. July 10 to June 2011. That's it. Essentially less than a year. Boom, shwink. That was a big bull market. Super strong. Then you go yellow. I might choose something a little bit bolder. We'll go with orange again. Maybe I shouldn't do orange. Let's go gray. So the yellow market, again. A little bit of a strong move here. Then a long period of consolidation. And then up. A final blow off. Put a box around the final blow off. That was the final blow off for there. You can see these final blow offs are also getting smaller. And they're also taking longer. You can see this final blow off over here. You could do it either like that, which was the last cycle, which I think many of you were involved in, or you could have included that. So the rectangle is getting fatter because it's taking up more time frame to do the same degree of blow off, while these were a lot skinnier and a lot steeper. You see that? See that diagonal is flattening and it's getting fatter. So what it's actually saying to us, we will probably still have at some point a blow off of some form, mania, and then the fat end of the bell curve. So a separate chart that's got nothing to do with this that I sometimes discuss and mention, the adoption bell curve, like that. You still, if you sit with a keyboard on the street corner and you go and you have a look and you say, gentlemen, have you got any crypto? And they check, and most of them will still say no. Can you believe that? They will have heard of it. Most people will have heard of it now. But if actual holders have wallets, have more than one, rounding error of a token, they've actually taken something that would resemble some money that would be a pain if they lost, more than $100, let's say. You're still probably around here at the peeps level. Institutions now are another separate bell curve. If we inject them all into the same one, they are the big mass. Just including the institutions in that bell curve would make this a lot bigger bell curve. Something like that. And you're still approximately in the same point. And that is a much huger money. That's not to scale. That pink would be a TG pink of great scale. Such a thing of great beauty, you see, because of the color. Anyway, so the institutions would be far larger. But they're waking up and they're smarter. They're less panic buy, less panic sell. And that's why you get slightly less skittish behavior, more patience. That's what institutions have. We teach traders to be more patient, to trade less, to hold longer their winners, to lock in at target points only. Otherwise, don't tinker with it, don't mess with it, don't spoil with it. And institutions do a lot more of the market sniper stuff. They have their own methodology. They don't have HVF method. They don't have, or aren't probably even aware about the Hunt Bitcoin take on COT data. But nonetheless, they're generally less skittish than you. So overall, these cycles are getting longer, and we come to a stop somewhere around here was the diagram. Only we're already up top there, as I'd already previously drawn over here. So the cycles are lengthening. That's my take. And it's the opinion of a few other people, I think, and more this is becoming the case. So don't over-focus on the 4-year cycle. It's just a key event for supply reductions. Okay, good. So that's Bitcoin. What did we say about Bitcoin? We said next level 84K. Nothing changed there at all. But note, it's not like every day just throwing money at you. It's working its way up. It's working its way a little bit down. Time to look at the charts. Before we leave, though, we're going to remind you about, as I said, got to remind you about that. Raoul was very right about the exponential nature of the model of crypto. Will be showing up on Real Vision again coming soon as well. We're looking greatly forward to that. Great business, some great outlooks and all of that. But we did warn that there was going to be a sudden deflationary scare in crypto earlier this year. And the key point about this that we will re-show you this, that we stated, is that a full sub 30K, it get the sell-offs right, guys, so that you don't ride the elevator down, is one of the biggest wealth accelerators for you popping up in this crypto game. If you ride everything down, especially if you're getting more and more bullish as it's making all-time highs, and your inverted pyramid adding scale ever bigger because you've got a bigger pot to your leverage trades. If the market takes a 55% drop, you know what happens to the average retail trader? Many of them get liquidated. Many of them have 75%, 80%, even 85% wipeouts. Do not be that guy. Do not be that guy. You need to retreat from ever expanding bull markets, reduce and consolidate and tighten up, especially as it starts to get more and more strong. And the FOMO factor is certainty of upness every time you see something really moving fast. And that is biological. It's in the back of your brain. You're getting endorphins. You're having fear of missing out, and you're doing the wrong thing. If you haven't got method, certainly check out themarketsniper.com. Book a chat. You need to have method. You want to get out, and you want to also have the best guess. One of the most important signals is not actually the Bitcoin COT of the hunt take of the data to the long side. We know we're in a first cup gold nugget. We know we're going to get some overperformance. We know as much as you can know anything on a balance of probabilities. So I shouldn't use the word no, but we have high probability assessment that there's still more good stuff to come. We've told you you're going to have a good Christmas into the first early part of the new year. It's not going to be a December crash, but because everyone thinks there might be a little wobble, but in actual fact, it might do exactly the opposite. And you might find Christmas, New Year actually is pretty strong. A lot of bored men sitting at home, a bit high on their Christmas pudding, stuffed with a cream rum and all the other good stuff, and they start throwing a bit of extra cash that way. So I think actually January will be still a good month, and potentially up until February. Who knows? We might have a pause, rest, a little bit of a smackdown round about March. We'll see. Also depends on what's going on in the rest of the big world. The big world. And this is very important. What's the dollar doing? People are forgetting about asking about that. That's something we watch. We're watching the currencies. We're seeing euro weakness coming. We're seeing the inflation of America being transported, not leaving America, still staying high, but becoming more of an issue now in Europe, even higher up there. So that's what's coming. I'm watching your comments, by the way, in the other screen. How are you doing? Where are you from? What do you think's happening? When do we top out? Tell me your answer in the comment chats in terms of engagement. When do you think? In light of that chart that I showed you, do you think it's wrong? Do you think it's a freak? We're going to top out on December because that's what Decembers do. What do you think about when Bitcoin is going to top out? So point made. We want the next most important signal that we'll be taking, that my community will get first, will be our sell and reduction signal. And there will come a point where it will even potentially be, don't forget, we had a half-time pullback that was 55%. So if we have a bear market, it could be a nasty old percent. It might be worth sitting on the sidelines. It is not here. Not here yet, in our opinion, but that is going to be the most important call that you get right, because you are all going to be a lot higher for being engaged in the right tokens in the meantime, until that moment. So bear that in mind. Let's pivot over to the Bitcoin, and we will talk about the dominance of Ethereum, which is the key thrust of this. And there are other tokens that will dominate Ethereum, and that's what we discuss in our trading day. The link will be shared across there. You can come and join us. Relative strength assessment is one of the things we're most proud of. You must look at your dominance charts. You must look at your charts against BTC and against Ethereum, which is the platform, the big platform one. Gas fees suck. Yep. What about Pulse? I'll even show you Hex quickly as well at some point for the Hexicans that are watching. Okay, so this is Bitcoin. Now, what I would certainly say to you is that this isn't our very best HVF structure. It's a bit of a rushed break. We didn't get a huge third impulse. That's kind of our draw. So you get the clear cut first, the clear cut second, and a very rushed run. Now, two things happen out of that. You either overperform, because there was so much pressure coming up here underneath here. Let's use the blue and the arrows. So much buying pressure coming in here, and it's, instead of being something that exhausts and then fizzles later, that's option one. Option two is it's still out there and it's going to drive us to all-time highs. We could have a little bit of both, but we've got 84 down as a target, and we keep hitting targets. We also had the COT call, which came in there. And of course, you had the other COT call that came in on the falling wedge over here. So we should probably give you other colors for the COT calls there and there. Now, some of you have noticed that you continue to get the COT signal. If you're utilizing the 100 BTC COT signal, let's put it on, let's put it on, let's put it on. If you are utilizing it, you'll note you continue to get new COT calls every time the data was below the level. So you can see there's multiple greens. The first one is the trigger. The second one is you've not doubled back up and come back in. So at these levels, if you hadn't already triggered, you would be getting a trigger again. So it's more a reassert for the original time frame for the triggering event. So it was a very good long call for over here, that first signal. A very, very good long call. And of course, you made a marginally higher high. Watch those marginally higher highs. It was absolutely natural. And we warned you before it happened that you would get a slap back and a pause and gestate for a bit after running the previous high. It's a classic trader's trap that almost has to play out. I call it the headline trap, because the headline goes out, Bitcoin at all-time highs, all the man in the street that once had some that got properly flushed out, go get their credit cards and they put a bit of money in, and next thing you know, they buy in the all-time high just to say, I mean, Bitcoin, it's at an all-time high, even though they just bought the top and they're about to get a washout. But they can't see this thing become a success and once be involved in it and not be involved in it again. So let's have a look at this over here a little bit better, because it's kind of been a little boring for some people that are Bitcoin maximalists, certainly, if you're only into Bitcoin. So what's happened? We'll take you into the lower time frames and give you a little look-see. Now, I told our guys it's not going to be dramatically bad during this period because we had our 3 selling impulses. So nice little channel, not too scary, made up of 1 sell, rally, second sell, rally, and I warned there might be a third, but failure to dissipate. Often the third is the meekest, and in a very bullish underlying like Bitcoin, it often doesn't even make the low of the second's low. So you have a rally, and if the rally is a little bit perky and goes quite a way back up, you just get a stab down. In the end, we got a skittish candle that you might be able to see that went there and back up. So that for me was the end of this correction for this lower time frame. And then what do you need to do? You need to square up a little bit. You need to square up a little bit. What does that mean? You come out of this trend, you start squaring up. In other words, you horizontalize. You horizontalize and set up some structure around it and hopefully squeeze and create another push up. And we think you've got a very scrappy structure. Not so beautiful. I think I can manage the eye on now. It won't be too overbearing. Now, I want to warn you as to why this is, there's some key levels here. So there's some key levels you want to know about that I'm going to tell you about. The previous high, 64,854, that blue line there. The 65,000, the one above it, couple of $100. And then the target for this tiny little squeeze here that was quite disproportionate and pretty rushed. No beauty, but adequate, just for a little bit of short time frame analysis over there. And because it was scrappy, ugly, non-proportionate, it's not particularly good at performing. It made its second interim there, tried to press on and got a bit exhausted. Where's it supported? On our funnel level over here. Where's our funnel level? It's that zone just above the previous 3 key levels of significance that we told you the market was respecting. First running, then supporting on, and now looking to grab as foundation the next levels up. And what were those? The 59.5, that was the right shoulder. That was your natural stop loss, by the way. If you were just trading a head and shoulder. We also had the rising wedge into that head and shoulder. That was that tweet that we shared with Raoul. And then there was the 60K round number. So you've got a round number here, round number, you got a round number here. You got a technical level, that was the TA level, let's call it 1. You got another TA level, an all-time high. By the way, it was an all-time high for quite a while, that 55% all the way down to 29K. And everyone, where's my 1 million hex? Ask Mr. Hart. He said it was going to 10,000. Many people thought 20K, the lower levels were coming out of that. We said, stay with it. You got your accumulate COT signal. So you got a round number, you got a all-time high, and you got the small patterns top out here. So overall, I think we muck about here a bit, but at some point we get back up here. You'll note Bitcoin's not hardly pumping. It's not in a hurry, really, to do anything particularly special. It's perfect, benign environment for select good alts to actually hustle. And I largely missed, so total hands up, the whole Facebook into metaverse. I was on holiday and then I was feeling a bit off after I returned from travel, after a bit of nasal rape by the PCR police. But I can tell you the Facebook into meta thing and select tokens. I missed that. We called sheep and some of the community got in. I failed to get in. I was just under it. So, I've seen a couple of the alts move and I've not been part of them. Some have tried to be in and some have not. But this is a good benign environment for select theme alts to move. We've also been waiting on, and I have to admit to this one, still waiting on, but you're never in a hurry, and there's no such thing as a time, the XRP as well. So I'll take a flight path past that one as well. Okay, so it seems like a little bit of support, bit of bottoming around here, but it's not in any supreme hurry. Bit of a channel. I think at some point you're at the low end of the range here. You might either stay in the channel and then clear this level, just get a nose through. I don't think you run that. It just hasn't got that kind of zip yet, Bitcoin. You might end up making a bigger wind up that'll take more time, and it's going to be closer to how many shoplifting days have we got left to Christmas? It'll be closer to you're going to have to go out and steal like a bandit, because it's so close to Turkey Day. And in that sense, this might come a little later. This is a short time frame, so maybe it's next week instead of this week, for example. So I'm not going to try put a time frame on that. But Bitcoin overall is doing just fine by not dying hard and gestating and working off its little pullback. That's it. That's all it really needs to do. Now, if you're a maxi, you hate that, because other people around you are making some money and you're not. So let's cover what Ethereum has done in the meantime. Despite that horrific gas prices, horribly let down by MetaMask, by the way, horribly let down by MetaMask. They just took our transaction, put it in a block, a different block with a different amount on it that went to someone else somewhere else, and we never got it. You can do the TIX ID, you can go look at it, and they just didn't load it into the chain correctly, and hey, you've lost $1,500 that you were sending to somebody. Isn't that fun? Unbelievable. And can't get anything. So I don't know whether to blame MetaMask or Ethereum. Far from perfect, but it's the first time that's ever happened. But the whole notion of chains being faultless, I would have to say is not the case. In the meantime, you can see from this chart that Ethereum has been overperforming. I haven't taken you to the big time frame yet, but just time frame for that last Bitcoin chart and current. But it's been doing it in a steady, measured way. This is not a blow off. It can continue to do this for a fair bit. It can continue to do this for a fair bit. We saw this little wind up over there, and up she goes. It made that target. The original cot long was coming in there and the reasserts. And actually, you've done pretty damn well. A lot of people could do a lot worse than just sitting and holding Ethereum. Doesn't sound exciting. It's not a leveraged trade on some micro coin with a huge narrative and story that's going to conquer the gaming universe, yada, yada, yada. Sometimes you just must make money, and you don't have to take extreme risks, especially when, you know, we're broadly bullish in a slow and measured fashion. And can I tell you, that kind of fashion lasts longer, which once again taps back into the extension of the cycle. Blowing off as fast as it is as quick as it ends. Please be aware of that. So all good on Ethereum. Let's have a look at it against Bitcoin, because this is a key point, and we've done, probably nobody's done more FBTC analysis broadly available for free in public than yours truly, the Crypto Sniper. And we've shown you many things, because these are the two liquid tokens. These are available on most exchanges. It's pretty democratically broadly available, he says. Democracy being a horrible thing, actually, as we're finding out, because the peasants all vote for communism in the end due to being hoodwinked by government. But let's just take the eye off for a second and show you that. I'll also just take the Bitcoin indicators off. Lots of great long signals. And again, you've had a cluster. That was the first one after the falling wedge. And that was again here for Ethereum. That's Bitcoin data applied to an Ethereum chart. There's a risk on, risk off value to that data that I've mentioned before. But before I confuse you any further, let's just look at the technicals here. So big time frame. This was the head and shoulder we highlighted. So quick recap, quick indeed. We'll keep it punchy and fast like that. Double shoulder, like that. Another double shoulder. We teach about the complexity in head and shoulders. You will learn how we do head and shoulders. This is HVF Methods' take on other technical analysis patterns that make them more tradably accessible with better risk rewards and higher likelihood for the performance that you need. That is here, courtesy of us, in our reservoir of stored content. You will learn how to do that. That was the head. That gave us a target in and around these levels, by the way. You'll see it when I put the eyeball back on. And what has happened? You overshoot as you should. Target should never be made. Stop on the penny. No, sir. It don't work like that. You should get a clear beating. It should be a conservative takeoff point that should see you sufficient liquidity, sufficient time to execute at the price level indicated. What has happened since then? Largely nothing particularly big. Lots of ups and downers. So depending what time frame you're on, if you're a broadly long-term investor, this has been a churn. This has been nothing but a churn. If you got out there, you're still there. And that was May. The high point. The May. That was summer. The early part of summer. Before midsummer. Before August holidays. Before all of that. That was May. So you've sat out all this time and Ethereum's been a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit up, basically as you were. And you're now almost at the end of the year. So October's over. I can't believe it. We're already, my God, this year started. We're 11. We're the 11th month. We're the third of the 11th month. Man, I kid you not when I say shoplifting days to Christmas is almost, you're running out of time. So that's what's happened. It's not been a dominance period. Remember, people, we told you about this at 2.5, that this would go up to there. We said it's 2.5% in Ethereum. It's going to go up 3.5 times in strength relative to Bitcoin. Yes, you heard it. In spite of all its gas problems. Now, hear what we're saying to you again. That structure is going to be upside continuation and you will be going off the screen to a chunky 10% of Bitcoin. When you consider that we are comfortable with a target of at least 84% before some meaningful sustained pullback might take place on Bitcoin before the next legs up. When you consider that that's where we're at, 10% of 84,000 is pretty easy maths for most of you. So that would point to an $8,000 Ethereum price, which given where you are at around about 4.5 would mean another approximate doubling, 85, 90% on Ethereum. So let's have a look at that on a lower time frame. Let's do it so that everyone can stay on board. Also, how are those comments looking? Matic looks good, says somebody. Why are you not wearing the woolen power vest? Oh, I like that one. Yes, I do like it. It will come back. I need to just get the delts back a little bit more pressing. Like and share, puppy licks, please. Yes, thank you. We like that. Lockdown, oh, for sure, that's all coming, but let's keep it quiet on that front for now. Poland's president warned EU against World War III, stating that Poland will battle with everything they have. That's nice to know. There you go. A little geopolitical info for you all. Right, let's get straight into the lower time frames. We're getting eclectic comments today. Indeed, indeed, indeed. So that FBTC, let's take a peek. 12 hours. 12 hours does me good. So here's the thing. This is complex structure. Complexity just means it's not so clean lines. It's not like I would like you to just draw it like that. Well, there's actually a blow off high there. It's not quite like that. There's quite a high level of deviation from the simplistic diagram. Boom. What does that mean in simple English? It just means it squiggles and bounces and spikes and dumps a lot, but is broadly following the diagrammatic structure that I've indicated. So again, we draw it for you. Big dip, rally. You can see that introduces complexity. Lots of movement in and around. But it's settling down. You should settle down as you go deeper in. Also, there was quite neat channels in this. So in its own way, it's untidy, but it's understandable. And that is what's going to generate for us as a first impulse done. Let's go freestyle pen. First impulse done. A bloated second impulse done, which went from there over to there. And we're in the 3 upside. Now, we might have had a rushed break, kind of like your Bitcoin. You might have had a rushed break, in which case we're already in the running period. Or, and this is a fork, and I don't know the facts of the answer, it becomes more clear as time passes on, or we will still have one little dip round that will bring us down once. In other words, Ethereum will have a fairly moderate and slightly sustained period where it's giving up ground against BTC, which could be BTC either going down and Ethereum going down faster, or Ethereum, Bitcoin being a little bit of a honey badger for a few days and sucking up all the money and leaving the others a little bit high and dry. But that structure, if we put the draws back on for you to have a little look, points to 10%. So Ethereum is going to do rather well. Even though I'm angry with their ERC20 app friends and their chain. Let's put the eye back on for you to see that. There's our scribble. It's not exactly 10. It's almost certainly would run it, though, if it's to perform to target. It's very unlikely that it doesn't go beyond. Don't watch the reset sniper. You lose fiat and gain physical silver. That's hysterical. Yeah, good man. That's smart of you if you do have that effect. It's like an IQ test. So there you go. These were the necklines. This is just a quick lesson for those of you that want to learn. It's very simple. You saw how many interactions we had in the neckline. This was the last half shoulder, and this was another shoulder that came back up to these necklines. Then you had the big old head. Then you had a double shoulder on the other side. This 4% level was totally validated for an extended period. And now you're getting the target range here, and you're getting an entire structure built on and around this target range. My opinion is that that down leg will fail to run that 6.6% again. And that is the lowest level that you will have Ethereum to Bitcoin possibly ever, if not for an extended period. So as people love to say, last chance to buy Bitcoin sub 10 grand. I think you've got about 40 last chances to buy Bitcoin sub 10 grand spread over a number of years. But nonetheless, eventually it becomes true. And I think that moment has certainly passed. And I would say same here now. I'm starting to feel last chance at the well for 10% to Bitcoin. Possibly forever, but certainly for an extended period. All on a squeezy Japanesey. You had a beautiful head and shoulders, by the way, at that localized high that warned you it was over for the ETH dominance. So that is the key message I want to get over to you. That means if you have a certain amount of Bitcoin and you reduce it to add a certain amount of Ethereum, you should get overperformance. That's it. Could be wrong, could be right. It's a simple concept, and you've known it before. That generally purports more bullishness, again, for longer. This doesn't point to an instant blow off and then a major bear market by next month. It's just not looking that way. In other words, you can be at risk of caution. You can be slightly more relaxed right now about it dragging on to the early part of next year. Early part could just mean January and part of February. It could mean January to March, April, who knows. But the extension of cycle is ongoing, and the blow-off will signal the beginning of the end. Again, he says it. The blow-off, where you have real parabolic in Bitcoin, will signal the beginning of the end. And there will be some form, but it may not be to the scale or duration of previous years. But it will still be distinct, and you should know it when you see it. And we will be here and informing our premium community first and watching for those Bitcoin cot sell signals and anything else that will give us an inclination, and getting them out first. And then at some point, talking to our free views as well. Okay, let's have a look at your questions. Someone says FTT, others say XRP. So we will go to XRP almost certainly first, because we intend to do that and to keep you up to date. We're not leaving you high and dry on that one. I'm still in it. You've got to be in it to win it. It's called patience. Sometimes you have to sit tight. You've got to avoid being whack-a-mole. If something doesn't do exactly what you expect at the very instant you expect it, and you jump and you chase something else pumping, and then you watch the thing you were in suddenly go do it. You've got to have an element of zen about you. Let's get XRP up and answer that question. So again, squeezing, got real low vol. That whole story with 2 months extension. This is structure. There's many different targets for upside, depending on whatever time frame I take this. So I remain very high confidence that this is going to have a strong upward move coming. I remain, let me say again, very high confidence, even though I think that when I told you it was already a number of weeks back, 2 or 3 weeks, that to crypto guys is like waiting a lifetime, but to normal equity people, it's absolutely normal, and FX people the same. So there's your squeeze in there. This is a nice high, strong there that's not too far off. And of course you have the super impulse, which is slightly disproportionate to this. But that could give you a really big gift, which we've indicated would probably see 2.6s if that were to occur. Plus, we would expect again some overperformance. That could come quite violently for this one. And others have been running. We also mentioned, when we mentioned XRP, other unpopular token, such as Binance. And Binance actually has done rather well, as did Solana today, for that matter. But Binance. So in our blue pot, we have Solana, we have Binance, we have XRP. It's still worth having Ethereum, I think. And I don't actually hold much actual Bitcoin. I'm holding the others. They're all liquid. I can get into Bitcoin if I want it. And that's where I am on my blue pot. So XRP still looks good. Let's drop a time frame and give you a bit more detail. This also, by the way, you know, as you saw on the FBTC, you had your target level, how that entire pattern was dovetailing around that. To a similar degree, you have the key level, that is the 1 level, and you had one dip below there, and you had one test dip that was rejected pretty quick below there. That's probably your last chance to get XRP in the 90s. Again, it's probably your last chance to get XRP in the 90s. So this structure for me is a funnel zone right here through the middle, and it's just under the 1 and through to where we are roughly at the 120 mark, where we traded up to the 120. So the 1 to the 120 mark, key zone, and the next major move is to trade above that and to break out to the upside. So XRP remains good. Stay with it. Hold it. If you put your entire account in it, obviously you've sat on the sidelines a little bit. Plus you've had a little couple of dips that have made you nervous. Never go 100%. If you've got 100 grand, you know, you should have 5 20 granders in there. If you've got 10 grand, you should have 5 2 granders or 4 2.5s in terms of your blue pot management. So remember that. We do blue pot, orange pot, which is your light leverage, and then we do hot pot when we have very good quality setups. At the moment, super hot pot, there's nothing driving me here. There is no, in crypto, in equity, suddenly everything is set up, and in FX, but there's no red pots for me here. So very light leverage on a couple of decent stalwarts, done well with Elrond, done well, you know, I said Elrond, I meant EGLD. Yeah, that's Elrond. Those two cause me grief. Algorand's the other one. That's did have some of that as well at some point. But Ethereum is right where it should be. XRP is set, and we remain confident that it's going to give you a breakout. So if you're in it, my suggestion is stay with it and be patient, but never be 100% in anything. Let's have a look at XRP BTC actually, just to further make that point, because this is against a failing dollar, a failing fiat, because they're all failing. To sell out here would be to sell out at the localized lows. So a little bit of a warning for bottling it. Don't bottle it is what I'm saying. Let's go daily and even maybe flash the weekly to you. So there have been some big spikes on XRP. You are absolutely at the bottom end of this range. There. Most of the price behavior has gone on probably realistically in a range like that, apart from some super quick stabs above there and there, and the end of the 17 bull market. We shorted. So by the way, I'm telling you it's a buy. I'm not a fanboy of anything. We shorted this thing ruthlessly. We shorted it and hated it and shorted it and shorted it. So this is not love, it's not hate, it's just technical assessment. Technically assessed, this looks like an opportunity waiting to jump. That's it. That's the comment, that's the view. So that broadly is the band. That 1880 level, against Bitcoin, and I think that's how many I need to take. Whoa, it's not so many satoshis, is it? It's 1880 is the level it's at now. It's super low, and this is a good technical structure. If I go to the daily, I've mentioned before, and we highlighted it in the previous ones when we originally shared the idea with you. That's a good rounded bottom, W bottom over there, which was super low for its recent history, plus a bit of flag pennant behavior, actually pennant behavior, I correct myself. And this is all at your 1800 mark. Your 1800 mark. And then you've got that, you got supported. So you had a low, you made a deeper low, then you made a high and a higher low, and then you jumped. So here you have a low, you ended up again up, round, a deeper low, then you made a high and a higher low, and now it looks like you're going to have a go. I'd still like to see a third impulse and then maybe again, and then we go. So there might be some time still. I think they're going to get to a settlement that's pretty favorable for Ripple, that largely puts most of their problems behind them. And that's going to be pretty positive for all of crypto. So actually we should wish them well, regardless. By the way, all tokens just about are going to plug in. They're not going to give you your freedom into the banking, KYC, cartel, the extractors. If you get government as your enemy, you will have a problem, and they all will play along with the great matrix, I'm afraid. So to call one a banker coin and to not call others is almost silly now. I did it all the time. Yep, I did it. Let me just say they're all banker coins in some senses. Blockchain is your internet banking account blogged online, unless you're in a secrecy token. Okay, so let's have a look at, could take longer to really break out on a macro since it has super extended left shoulder. It's not so much an inverted head and shoulders. You can draw that. So I think what the gentleman is saying, who was at talking, Jose, quietly mentioning there in a somewhat peaceful fashion, what he's wanting to do. What he's wanting to do over here is also, it's not wrong what he's saying, but what he's potentially saying is the following. So I'll share his idea because it's not a bad one. I'll put it forward there. It's not what I'd call textbook, but what he's kind of saying is you might have at a higher level, let's just say 3,500 or 3,600, almost 4. A bit of a neckline there. A double shoulder like Ethereum there. There's your head, which actually has the W bottom to this level. And then you've got another intersection here at around your 3,800. And you still got to get back up here. For that to be a left shoulder, that can be your 2x left shoulder. That to be your head. And this all to be something like this. Another dip back, and then you get your right shoulder and your 2x right shoulder. That's the thinking he's doing. And to be fair to him, it's a good suggestion. It's far from... So what he's done is given us a scenario cast, or I think that's what he's saying. Maybe he'll tell us if I'm misconstruing him, that we actually might have a 3.6 or a 3.8 level here, just shy of the 4K, and you'll get something very similar to Ethereum. We saw that. You get a couple of tests. So you get those, what I refer to as complexities, double shouldering, a deeper head at the worst case of the market when it was kind of bearish for the alts against Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was kind of strong. And then you end up going from here. But when it goes, it will be pretty damn good, because actually the target implied by that, if I just do the quick sketch of what he's suggesting, which, as I say, is not a bad idea. It's consistent with how other alts have gone up. If I just choose a level roughly there, so put that lock on there quickly. So we're a bit more accurate. Go to the low. I probably wouldn't want to go too much higher than that. We need to go, yeah, so just a bit below the top of my box that I'm highlighting. That would also be a super target, 6849. which in terms of percentage increase in dominance overall would be vast. And as in terms of Bitcoin, its scale, bearing in mind we're at 1,888, we sub 2,000 to go almost 7. You'll probably run 7.5 from 1,800. That's quite a significant move, good people. I think you'll find that to be around almost 4x, 3.5, 4x. So it's an interesting concept that could kick in even after we get a continuation pattern here. So yeah, an interesting contribution from our friend Jose. Well done, bud. Slap on the back. Interesting idea, not one I'd discussed or looked at. So what else? We had somebody else asking for something. We got a reasonable number of retweets. I will do, on account of the number of retweets, we've got space to do 3 alts, and then we will close. Don't forget, live trading day. We're going to do nothing but crypto for an hour and a half together. And you'll be able to ask questions, and you'll be in our community. You will have a full community experience. All of you should be financially independent right now. Truly, you should. You should be 7-digit big, at least, going on 8. Theta is 1. Okay, I'll have a look at it. ADA, I'm going to stay with the relatively big one so that other people get value. Someone said Matic looked nice. I'll show you Matic. So how about Theta, ADA, and Matic? So we'll go first with Matic. This is resting after making its second interim. That's my take. So we do have structure here. We do have a funnel here. We actually have a target here. We expect good things from it. It'll probably overperform both Bitcoin and quite possibly Ethereum, but maybe with more volatility involved. So you might have a bumpier ride, but you have made it there. You pull back and you've made it again there and pulling back. So you've just done a big move. So you would rather wait for this to ease a little bit and try pick it up somewhere there. And you want to get to around about 3.4. So try get it 1.7 or 1.8 in that zone. Run it up to 3.4. You're going to have to manufacture a stop. It won't be an HVF stop. You could put it just below that wick. It's a bit far away, but it's still a very good risk reward. You see that? There's your reward. There's your risk. That's where the blood comes in. This is where the greens and the yachts and the Lambos come in. Okay, so that's Matic. That's for one guy who was asking for it. We will then do the Theta and show you that one. All the others will be potentially covered with you in the live trading day. Come and join us. So Theta actually had a long and lengthy correction. It was superstar. Don't get me wrong. Out of this little HVF, I killed it on that. I was so lucky. I killed it on that, but then it came down, 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 down a long way. Support level just above its legacy HVF targets. That whole rising wedge, falling wedge, let me restate falling wedge to be correct. 2 big impulses. One up and over, but never quite came down. Little wind up. It would have been better if it had come down there. So kind of little wind up, broke out of the falling wedge, but then was still a bit heavy. So quite a heavy pullback, return move. And just starting another little fractal that made target, and then it's eased back. So overall, I think you'll get an 1125. It's not the most beautiful right now. It's not the most beautiful right now. Don't be wailing in, but I think it's generally alts are going to go up if there's something to them. It's a question of which ones are going to go up further in percentage terms, give you a less bouncy ride. And I mentioned to you, as unpopular as Binance exchanges have become, Binance, the actual token, has actually shown good strength, and Solana, which are long-standing potholes for us. So also said I will do, what was the other one? Was it ADA? I'm surprised you guys asked for it, but it's not good news. It's just, actually it's perked up a bit today, but it's just heavy. So the problem ADA has is its overall structure. That's such a good run out of this falling wedge here. that relative to a lot of the others, they haven't made these highs. That was the May run. So we had a May alt hike. That was when I was highlighting. Ethereum was just killing Bitcoin all the way up to 8% from 2.5. Since May, it's not made the 8% again, and it's just wound up around that legacy target. And it's been waiting. So it's all been a little bit about Bitcoin and the 50% pullback, the 55% pullback, in fact. And it's been a little bit of a stale out for everybody. ADA is still heavy. This was a bad sell-off. It bounced on its technical too. And now it had a squeezy Japanesey. It had a stab down, which made a marginally lower low. That points to some beginning of bottoming, potentially. Then it's gone low vol, and it's battling around the two levels. It's having its own journey. It's got a big tower leaning on it over here still. It's a bit heavy. So if I don't hold right now any ADA, not in my blue, not in my perps right now. And I have liked it a lot in time during this period, and we were quick to benefit from its overperformance. A lot of hype and news-driven power here, and it just feels a bit like a hangover. So ADA is not the one to happen. Okay, I'll do one more. That's Solana, just so that you aren't too upset. That's because you gave us 33 retweets on the link, so we appreciate sharing. We'll give you a little more. Sol, squeezing out of that structure initially. So here's the target I have for it before it rests again, 260. And it's made great progress in that time. That is the draw we have over there. It did rest when it was supposed to rest. That was its resting point. There was our second interim. Lots of shooting stars, lots of churn, small wind up, and now it goes again. And that will be its primary target where a longer rest will be possible, 260. It's at 226, so it's quite late in the day to chase in. But I would reduce and I would close most perp trades there. That's not to say I'm not seeing it going a whole bunch higher. So Solana potentially doing the flight path of Ethereum. I remember when ETH was in the 200s, 300s, 400s, and I've shown you that before, and had that huge overperformance spike to 1400. That can still come of an alt market for Solana. So Solana might be on ETH's track of 2017 and ETH on Bitcoins. It would almost be more interesting to be in Solana. So remember, when you're leverage trading, there's still points to take off and to put back on. But you can hold the pot in your blue pot, the 3 pots. You can hold it in your investment pot ongoing. Really fast. We use it now. We pay less. We have all our free transfers on FTX to use. It's cheaper than ERC20, and we're pissed off with MetaMask. And we're going to keep saying that and telling you, watch out using them. They just shove the money in a different block, and they don't want to know about it. There's no one to talk to and no one to answer. I think that sucks. Imagine I'd sent 100 grand. Man, you've got to be careful out there. Anyway, so yeah, marginally high, a little bit of a fizzle back today so far. So again, it could still give you quite a creative journey to get there. It could have a little bounce on the second interim, dip a little below, come back up. It's got plenty of time, pull back, but it's in a good place, and I can see it making 260. And if it made a new structure like I've drawn, then it could even give you a boosted target, and then rest again. But a good token and a steady blue pot hold for us. Okay, good. St. Gaulis, my man, they want people buying crap instead of gold and silver. Yeah, you should take profits from your crypto and ensure that you stack precious metals. It isn't either or. It's definitely smart to be in both, because that will give you the security. And by the way, if they take grid down, blockchain is all watched. They're going to have bots. They've probably already developed them. They'll be following you. Send money. Was that a income? Was that a payment for service? Do you owe tax? Please register your tax person. Send a transaction. Real-time taxation. Pleasure, Babushka. Babushka says, you changed my life with free views. Hex. I said I'd do Hex, so I have to do Hex. For the Hexicans. So we warned Hexicans that there's going to be underperformance from Hex. And I wonder if this has got to do with some people already getting into cash to rather have Hex on Pulse, where it's a lot cheaper. We saw this head and shoulder here. Now it looks a bit scraggy and difficult to spot here. I'll show you how it can look a lot easier and why relative valuation is so important. That's your head and shoulder. That was the target make. A little bit of a grind line here. I'm not sure it's over. I hope that's a marginally lower low and it's over and it goes up, because I am a holder of Hex, yeah, on the ETH chain, EHEX, which they wanted $280 to end one stake. So I still haven't ended that stake. I'm waiting for a semi-decent quote at some time, because it's absolute highway robbery, that is. If you drop the Hex there and you divide it by total 3. So remember, total 3 excludes Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's all the rest apart from the biggies. Much clearer head and shoulder for you to see when you do divisors. This is the value of relative assessment. It's really hard for one guy to do all this amount of relative assessment. That was a clear break there. And that was the target make in that instance. So this has been, so to be fair to Hex, up until now, it's been a rampant overperformer to most of crypto. So this is not hate in any way. This is a technical assessment. Smart people understand that. And as I say, I'm a holder and I would love to see it go up. This was a point of call that we said when I put a fairly substantial 6-digit sum into Hex, and I've held it ever since. So this has been an exceedingly great journey. Much gratitude to Richard and the guys above. I tease him about the bet, but he's a good man. So far his token's done great. But remember, tokens, I personally like a little bit of use case. That's why I think a lot of people are going to enjoy Pulse even more. Could it be all Hexicans, because they already have a high trust level for Richard, just speculating aloud, not wrong or right, will sell on EHEX or have end stakes that have come, because I've timed mine consistently. My behavior, others might be thinking like me, roundabout when I'm expecting this Pulse release that's not coming yet, but will come, I'm sure, to move their Hex, sell their Hex, realize it, and restake on the Pulse chain where it's cheaper. And as those Hexicans are already on board, they're likely to trust Pulse chain because they trust the originator of Hex already, so they'll trust the Pulse chain. So they're quite likely to want to leave the high cost platform to support him twice on the other one. But there's a snapshot to come, so you get the snapshot on the other one. So they're waiting for the snapshot to happen. So theoretically, they shouldn't be selling. So I don't know, a little bit confused. But you can't argue with technicals. And that's why I like the chart and money. If you can't get the narrative right, what's been happening? There was a grind line under that. It spilled lower. There was a clear head and shoulder there. And you made that target. Good. Everything else on crypto. A whole bunch more. Hour and a half on trading day. That's it for me for a free view. Quick update for you. Nothing super hot for hot pot right now, guys. Just stay in the game and don't do anything stupid. Largely, broadly, leaking upside. ETH to dominate BTC. Yes. Hex currently showing underperformance. What can you do about it if you staked? Probably not very much. If you're holding it cash, you might want to take part in the other alts, maybe a little bit, but then you want the snapshot for Pulse. So maybe just stand to and trust your operator, your jockey. That's all good. Solana broadly looking strong, but I wouldn't chase in at these levels. We did give you one trade where you could get a fairly decent work in. I can't remember which token that was. Rewatch the video. Thank you for supporting. We appreciate likes and shares. And if you want to book for a call, by the way, you go to themarketsniper.com. There is someone impersonating me on crypto Twitter. He is using all versions of names and does the exact same. I will never DM you and say, hey, you want to join my stuff. I've got no time to do that one-to-one. It is only people with malintent who wish to steal from you. They do it to other people with any profile. Do not fall for that. I will never DM you out the blue about a trading room. To contact and engage, you decide you want to do that. You come to our platform, The Market Sniper, and you book a chat. We check you're not insane. You've got fairly reasonable resources so that you can do this. It's not out of balance. You understand what we're about. And if you qualify, we were happy to get you on board, and we look forward to developing you further. No one chases you on DM Twitter. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time. All the best. Bye-bye for now.